Today we're going to be building the STX10 flipper. This particular one is the one that's got the reconstituted abalone scales. So as we unbox everything here, you're going to see that we've got our bolsters, we've got our pocket clip, we've got our scales that are pre-machined, and then we've got our liners, our blade, and then all of our hardware, all our screws and our pivot, our spacers and everything like that. We're going to work here on this Kydex background, so hopefully you can see things a little bit better than you can in black, but you know, a good little thing to do if you want is to flip that box top upside down, and you can put all this stuff in that box top so you don't run the risk of losing it. Again, for the purposes of the video, it's a little bit easier to see when we've got it on this lighter color than in that black box. So we're going to grab the locking side of our liner. We're going to go and put our pivot in to begin with. And then we're going to get the bolster for that side. And we're just going to screw it in. Now this first time that we're going through, you're just going to go through and you're going to fit everything up. Make sure everything works the way that you want. One thing to be sure of is with the screws, you are not cranking these things down. It's kind of hard to tell in the video, but we're just getting them just barely snug. Once you know that everything's the way that you want it, you're going to disassemble it, put you some Loctite on there, and put it all back together, or Vibrotite, whatever you prefer. We're using a max driver in this case, but if you've got a torque spit driver set at home, then you probably have everything that you need. So here we put the bolster on the other end. Now if you notice, that bottom bolster has a hole in it, so make sure you put those bolsters on the correct side. That's where if you want to put a lanyard or anything like that through it, you can. And then we're going to put our scale on that side. We're going to drop one of our bearing washers in there and then set our blade in. And put the other bearing washer on. Now, another little thing that you can want when you're this, you can do if you want, when you're at this point, is you could always set something just under the tip of that blade to help hold it even if you're having a problem getting things together. It's not that hard, but that's just a little tip and trick. And you're putting a little spacer on the other end and line it all up. You can use your torque driver just to line all the holes up. And again, remember, we're not really torquing these down tight. Even when you end up putting your Vibrotite or Loctite on later, you don't want to crank these down. The smaller the screw, the easier it is to strip. So these threads are teeny tiny. They're very precision, so they do not, you don't want to torque down on them. I say that a lot in these videos, but that's because you can't believe the number of people that call and they've literally destroyed the screw because they grab it with their whole hand and a big old screwdriver handle with a little bitty tip on the end, and they crank it thinking they really got to tighten it down. But again, it does not take much at all. So here what we've done is we put our screw in the other side of our pivot to hold that into the liner on. At this point, you want to adjust the tension on that screw to center your blade. So again, remember, you're not torquing it down super tight. You just want to make sure that you've got smooth blade movement, that you don't have back and forth play. And as you watch, as we kind of snug it down, open it and close it, open it and close it, you're going to see that the tip of that blade comes more towards the center. And then once we got it the way that we want it, put our other bolsters on. And on this bolster, we're going to put our spacers, set them on that bolster here. And that's because we're going to, when we put that bolster on and tighten it down, we're going to put our pocket clip on there. Put our abalone scales on. A little bit easier to get these on and tighten them down. If you put your pocket clip on first, you're going to find that you can't get the abalone scale on there because you got to be able to get to that other screw. So now we're just going to set our pocket clip on there. We drop our screws in and snug them down. And again, I do recommend that once you got it all together, you make sure everything's good. Go ahead and take it back apart, put you a little bit of Vibratite on these screws, and then reassemble it. But that's how easy it is. And you got you a cool little flipper. Beautiful and functional.